Hey guys, it's Matt. It is Friday, August 28th. I wanted to go over a couple things in this video. First, I wanted to show you a winning trade I had. It's not a live recording. I just want to show you what I saw on the tape as best I can. I'm going to use Thinkorswim's on demand here to replay this, although I was trading in DAS at the time. But I don't have the recording. I don't record my trades live right now. Mostly because I don't have the computing power to do that and run everything else that I have going. So the trade was on LI, and this was Monday the 24th. So first day of this week. Anyway, I just want to show you what kind of crazy, there was basically like, it pushed up here past the previous high of day, and then ran into a huge offer at around 1679 and 1680. You'll see. So I'm going to hit the play button here. We're looking right here. I wonder if actually if I just do this, I guess it doesn't really matter, but we'll watch it this way. So we're looking over here at the level 2 of the offers or the ask here. I just give it a couple seconds as it pushes up into the higher 1670s. You'll see some offers pop up right around 1679. I think is where the first one kind of stacks up, and you'll see that sort of get bought up. And this level 2 looks different than it did in DAS, because I remember seeing the 1680 stack earlier than it shows up here. There's that 1679. Look at that. 1679, you've got 20,000 shares. And then that starts to get eaten up a little bit. And so I'm in at 1675 at this point from earlier this minute. But you can see that at 1679, it's getting eaten up. And then bang, 1680. Look at that. Look at that. That's 46,000 shares. That's ridiculous. Right? So here what I'm basically doing, I'm in at 1675 from earlier. And then especially once I saw this offer on 1680, I'm like, okay, basically if it breaks 1680, if it's got enough strength to break 1680, I'm just going to bail out. So I think I put a let me see if I can find this in my journal. For some reason I got out of it. I was basically planning a stop. Let's see what I have there. Yeah, so with a stop at 1695. So basically I had an order punched in at 1695 just to give me a room in case it really popped. But if I saw it go over 1680, if I saw 1682 on the ask or anything like that, I was just going to get out, which worked really well for this trade. So you can see that it's just a brick wall. I mean, who's going to start buying right there? Except maybe another computer, right? So the algos. But so anyway, that wall holds. So you can just kind of see how I entered there. And then I'm going to speed it up and go triple time here. It ends up fading, and I take some off at like 1657, I think. And then the rest in the high 1640s. And I think, if I remember correctly, the last one was a stop loss that I had set up. Yeah, it was. It was a stop loss to trigger at 1645. After I think it bounced off VWAP at 1640. So I was like, well, if it's going to respect VWAP, it's probably going to climb higher. So anyway, I don't know if we want to sit here and watch this, but you can see that a couple times it tried to push up to that 1680 level and to eat through it, and it just couldn't get it done. So and there we go. So we get a little fade there into the 60s, and then I think it doesn't take long for it to get down into the 50s. Yep, there it is. There's 57 on the bid there. So this is where I took my first profit. I think it took half off here. I had a 400 share position size. Yeah, So I took half off at 57 and then 100 off at 49 and then another 100 off at 46 or something like that. Or vice versa, 46 first and then 49, something like that. Anyway, and these aren't the charts that I use, so I don't have VWAP and everything set up here, but I wanted to use Thinkorswim just because you can replay market stuff with their on demand. So, anywho, I thought I'd show you guys that. I don't think there's anything I need Thinkorswim for, so let's just close this down, and then I'm gonna open up my regular platform. Come on, computer, you can do it, buddy. Okay, so somebody asked in the comments section of one of the videos from before, somebody asked about what I mean when I say organically shortable, and that is kind of just something that I think I made up. I don't, unless I heard it somewhere else and I'm stealing somebody else's stuff. So let's look at VVPR. That was one of the stocks people were watching today. So in DAS, when you're in the level 2, the montage window here, this section right here that doesn't have anything on it for VVPR, but it has some stuff over here for Apple. That is like where the codes show up, and every letter that shows up here means something. I'm trying to think if there's one I can find. Yeah, there's one with T. Okay, so we'll do that. All right. So organically shortable, what I mean when I say that is just the S is here. So it just means, it really just means easy to borrow. It means that you don't have to pull up the locate, you don't have to go locate shares, right? So when you're trying to short, let's see if I can get this to pop out. When you're trying to locate shares or trying to short and it's not easy to borrow, like VVPR, if I wanted to short VVPR, I have to go find shares to borrow so that I can short it, right? Because that's what shorting is. Shorting is you're borrowing shares from someone, you're selling them high, hopefully buying them low, right? And then you're giving the shares back to whoever you borrowed them from, and that costs money. So you have to pay to borrow those shares. So let's see if I can. Let's say I want to borrow 1,000 shares of VVPR, and then yeah, it's after hours, so this stuff it's not going to work. But basically, what it shows up here is like, yeah, there's 1,000 shares available, and it costs, I don't know, 5 cents per share. Or it says there are no shares available to locate because all the locates have been chewed up already. And so when I say organically shortable, all it means is like, you look at Apple here, there's so many shares available that you can just short it without having to go through any of this locate stuff. Okay. With CMEG, there's a $25 locate fee along with whatever it costs per share. So it costs like, 10 cents per share. You're going to pay that amount times whatever share size you're doing plus an extra $25, which with a small account, that kind of sucks. So that's why I'm looking right now for stocks that are just easy to borrow, organically shortable is what I've been calling it. But easy to borrow probably is really the way to go. The way to say that. So so what I'm looking for is stock like that trade I just showed you, LI. It's not anymore, but it used to be easy to borrow. It used to be you could just sell it. You didn't have to locate fees. The same was with growing, like last week or the week before. Same thing. In fact, this is the one. It was easy to borrow, and then one day I hadn't realized that it was gone, that you couldn't just short it anymore, and I was like all pumped up because I got a great entry, and I hit the button, and it just said, no, fuck you, you're not going to short this today, and it was a perfect setup. It would have been a great trade, but yeah. So right now it's just, look, I'm undercapitalized, and that's the case with CMEG. Most people's accounts, they're just not going to have enough money in that account. If you're only got like $1,000 or $2,000, even probably $3,000, you're just, the fees are going to eat you up unless you've been trading in a simulator or somewhere else and you're like ready to go with the maximum amount of shares that you can trade. If you're ready for that, then maybe the fees aren't gonna crush you so much. Um, but yeah, if you're trying to trade with small account size in CMEG and small share size, you shorting like shorting the easy to borrow stuff, maybe having to pay for locates. That's just gonna the $3 each way commissions are already killing you. Um, unless you're like crushing it on your win rate and your profitability. But I've discussed that in other videos, and we'll probably take a look at that in a second here. So I think that's all I need to say about organically shortable, just in case it's really kind of my own term I made up, and I should just call it easy to borrow. But sometimes easy to borrow also means just really cheap. Like, oh, well, it's only like a half a cent per share for the locate fees or something. It's still with CMEG. There's the $25 fee, which, to be honest, I'm not sure if that applies with other brokers or not. If they all charge like a flat fee plus, um, I wouldn't be surprised either way, honestly. So that's what that means. So there's S here. Oh, and then I also I wanted to show you what was. So there's some of the other codes. SSR is short sale restriction. So basically, what that means is you just can't slam the bid if you're trying to sell. Uh, you have to get in on the ask. So it just you just can't slam bids. Um, I think that's true if you're. Nah, I'm not going to say what I was just going to say because I might I might not be right. Get your information from a more seasoned vet. Uh, and then what was the other one? This guy. So the T means that trading was resumed. If it's paused, you'll see a P here. And then the T is for it was paused and now it resumed. You can see I took a loss on this today. Today was a shitty day for me, but I'm not going to go into detail because whatever. I tried to long this out of this halt resume, and it was just stupid. It was a dumb play because really what happened. Here, I will show you this. I'll show you the other one. So this one was easy to borrow today / organically shortable if you're stuck on using my silly term. So I shorted here. I got in at like 11:45, which was probably a little early. I should have waited till it pushed up here to the previous high of day. I've been liking these setups. It pushes up. It's about pre-market high, dips down, makes another run at it, and I'm like, this looks weak. It doesn't look like it's going anywhere. And so then it's pushing up into the 50 level, and I was like, all right, well, if it breaks 50, I'm going to get out. Of course, what happens? It breaks 50. I've got my order set at 55. It literally takes me out at 53, hits 55, and look at this. Jesus Christ. I was so upset after this trade. Like I've been pretty good about managing my psychology lately, but this one this one drove me crazy. I was ready to break shit. Um, just because I mean I'm like I don't know if you've ever heard the term like shake out the weak hands in the market. I was the weak hand. I was the guy who was like such a tight stop, and I can't let it go against me at all. And you know, there was no other good, to my knowledge, there's no other good place to really put a stop. I mean, I could have just given it more room, but I really didn't want this to turn into a big loss. So instead, I took a small $24 loss and missed out on this huge play because this is almost a point, right? So we're talking on 300 shares, I think I had. Was it 300 shares? Yeah. So 300 shares, call it 50 cents. Yeah, that's 150 bucks. It's a nice trade right now in this account. And it would have been a sweet deal. So that was frustrating, and then I tried to revenge trade on XONE. That stupid halt resume. I tried to buy the dip, and there was no dip. It was just a flat tank. It bounced around a little bit after that, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, so those are those were the trades for today. I can show you real quick here. Come on, Bubba. What the hell's going on? It's locked up. Alright, I guess I'm not going to show that. My browser's been doing that lately. There we go. What do I want to show you? So the journaling, talk about that a little bit real quick. So I have been continuing to journal as the day goes rather than doing it all in hindsight, which I think is really, it's important because you can see here, like after that SunPower miss, when it stopped me out, I mean, I'm writing like I'm fucking pissed, right? Because I was at the time. I was really pissed off. Now, looking back on it, I'm like, no big deal. I mean, it was a $24 loss. Like, yeah, you missed out on a big move, but you can't do that to yourself. You can't get stopped out even if it just barely ticks your stop and then goes the other direction. You can't do that. You can't beat yourself up in hindsight, right? So if I was journaling now, I'd be like, it's no big deal. But that doesn't capture what I'm feeling in the moment, which means this is the thing I have to work on. Like, you can get pissed, fine, but don't take the stupid XONE trade afterward, because you can see the $24 loss on SunPower was no big deal. The $66 loss on X1 was dumb. It was a trade I should have never taken. There's no excuse for it. So SunPower was also, this is a kick in the pants, it was also climbing back up later. Do we still have it up? Yeah. So it did this move. It climbed all the way back up, and I'm like, oh, if it hits 1150, I'm gonna get back in. It literally hits 1150, but I missed it. I had to walk away from my computer for a second, for like literally probably 30 seconds, and I came back and it had tapped 50 and then started to come back down. And I think I tried to get in at like 11:45, and I just missed that entry, and then it just kind of ran away from me. So that was a really frustrating morning this morning. So, and you can see I put this quote here because this is one of my favorite quotes. It's from one of Jesse Livermore's books. He says, "Thus I permitted the hankering for activity to replace common sense and judgment." Basically, he's saying, I think I shared this last video or the video before. He's basically saying, like, you're bored because the market's been slow, and so you're just doing stupid shit because you want something to do. You want to be trading rather than you want to be sitting there waiting for your setups, which might not come for another week, right? And that's the hard part. A slow market like this is difficult to sit through. Yesterday I didn't take any trades. Wednesday you can see I lost $68. Those were both LI trades. That was frustrating. So that's the one that I traded successfully Monday, but gave some back on. I gave some back on Tuesday as well. So it was a red week. This $91 profit didn't last very long. So anyway, let's see. We can go to reports, and I'll just show you where I'm at since the beginning of the month. I'm averaging 2 cents per share. I'm still up technically for the month, but what I'll show you in a second is that the fees and everything, and I'm going to block this when I'm typing in all my stuff here. The fees with CMEG are going to make it so it's not a profitable one, unless I have a fucking great day on Monday. So here's to that. Let's hope. So this is including everything up until. Let's see if we can include yesterday. Although I didn't take any trades yesterday, so it's not going to matter. So you can't see the very top, I realize, but let's scroll down to the bottom. This is where it all comes together. So we've got 63 orders. My gross profit is $194.50. Again, this is not including today, so that'll be less. The commissions are $185.85, right? So I'm talking like $9 there, right? That I'm up, not even. Plus ECN fees, the other fees. So I'm actually negative 13.49 on the month, and slap on the $120, I think it's 120, $125 software fee that's going to hit me on Monday, and I'm down another 100 and some bucks, 130, 140, yeah, 150 bucks almost, right? So depending on what happens Monday, I mean, if I hit a big win or something, that'd be great. But chances are I won't trade anything on Monday the way the market's been going. So anywho, that's kind of how this works with CMEG, right? You really get crushed with the fees. So I mean, you can look at it at this point as it's just the cost of going through the learning that I'm going through right now, and I am increasing share size, which means if I stay profitable or become even more hopefully profitable as far as my win rate and my average win and loss and that kind of stuff. In fact, we can take another look at those because there's nothing else to see there. You can see my win rate's just over 50% since the beginning of the month, and my average win and my average loss are pretty close. So, you know, either this has to come way up, which typically it is. This week crushed me because I took a bunch of losses, um, or this has to go much higher than the average losing trade, right? And that's just how the numbers work. Um, there's something else I wanted to show you here. I can't remember what it was. Oh, I know what I want to show you. So let's look at, since the beginning of the month, my long trades, I am negative 254, average per share negative 24 cents. Short, this was even better up until a couple days ago. 358.50 positive and 8 cents per share positive. So I'm definitely doing better on the short side, and that's actually true since 17th of July, which is the reason I picked that date. It's the first day I took a short trade. Um, so since then, long I'm down 457.31. Short I'm up 584.25. So I'm definitely doing better shorting right now. Partially that's just because that's the way the market is. Like these are small caps and everything's just kind of pretty much shitting the bed. There's no momentum lately, or almost none, and so it's just shorting is the game right now. Um, so I mean I'm not married to it. It just happens to be working well. Uh, but part of that is if you've heard the expression stairs up, elevator down, or stairs up, window down. Um, Part of it is when you're long and you're looking for those really sharp dips to get in on, they can happen really quickly, and then the trade can go against you really quickly if you're long, right? Because if you get in and it's not quite the bottom, and you get that sharp drop that sometimes happens when a stock starts to tank. Um, sometimes it drops faster. On average, I think they drop faster than they climb, right? So there are some times where there's crazy momentum and a stock shoots up really quickly. That can definitely happen, but it just seems to happen more on the downside, where you get those quick moves. So if you're shorting, you know you get that kind of stair stepping up. You have time to sort of get your entry right, and think a little bit more. And then if it goes against you, it doesn't. It tends to go against you a little bit more slowly. At least that's been my experience. And so, um, yeah, so far I've been really more successful with shorting for the past month and a half. So that's why I'm almost right now. I'm almost completely short biased. And you can see the one long trade I took today. Uh, there we go. I meant to clear that. The one long trade I took today is the one I really got shit whipped on. So, um, it went against me. That was tough. Anyway, I gotta go back to work. I'm still working for the day, my real job. And hopefully that answered some questions. And if there's any others, feel free to ask. I'll answer anything I can, and I'll be honest about when I'm not really sure. So, all right, guys, take care.